Carlos, during the rough stretch, you talked a lot about how difficult it was to play from behind. How much has what Nimmo's been able to do to start off now 3 of these 4 games the way he has contributed, you think, to the way the team has been able to play?
It definitely is a really good feeling. It helps big time, kind of sets the tone and kind of takes a little bit of the pressure of everyone, whether it's the offense, the pitching staff, that, there's a little bit of a wiggle room here from the beginning, I thought we had some really good at-bats before that Nimmo at-bat. The Lindor walks, the P walk, like laying off some tough pitches from Rodon, forcing him in the zone, and, if ended up getting on base and kind of set the table for Nim. And then after he takes a couple of sliders, he stays in there for one that, is up in the zone, and he's able to hit the grand slam. And again, setting the tone there. But the important thing is that we continue to add on, 1 through 9. Pretty good at bats, and because they're not going to give up. That's a good offensive team there too. So it was not only that Nim got us going, but overall just continue to add on. But back to the Nim question, really good to see him. He's been locked in now for a good stretch. Driving the baseball with authority, controlling the strike zone, going the other way, taking tough pitches, and then even the ones he's fouling it off, like there's conviction, there's balance. That there's a lot to like from his at bats right now.
Assuming you didn't call for that bunt from Soto, what did you think of the decision there?
Part of the show. Look, man. Definitely, I want him swinging the bat there, right? Anytime. But if I trust a lot of these guys with the decision making. He got it down. We hit a grand slam after that. So, yeah.
Finally, with Montas, did you think that the line wasn't necessarily indicative of how well he pitched for you guys?
100%. 2 pitches that, the Chisholm and the Wellesley one, they were, didn't locate, a couple of fastballs up in the zone. But when you look at that 6th inning, ground ball up the middle, infield single, bloop single, and then, 2-run scores, he was a lot better than the line score, for sure. The life on his fastball, attack, I thought the split was a pitch, the best we've seen in this, 3 outings that we've seen out of him. And we knew coming in that against a lineup like that they load up the lefties. Not only the cutter needed to be a pitch, but the split needed to be a pitch. And he used it today, and man, he was solid for us today.
Andy?
That's what I was going to ask you a little bit about, is sequencing the lefties. So did he use as much of the off-speed and cutter against those lefties as you would want it?
Yeah, and not only the cutter, but the way he elevated it too, because they got a few lefties that crushers cutters, but the fact that the fastball had life, he used it effectively at the top, but the split, was a weapon for him at times. He threw some for, strike to ball as opposed to like ball out of the hand. And I think that was the difference today. But again, the conviction, he attacked and stay on the attack. Again, solid outing.
And as far as you could tell, did he clean up the stuff that the Braves and Pirates were seeing?
Yeah.
Dan?
Carlos, using Diaz in the 9th with that lead, what went into that decision, given how much he's worked?
Yeah. Once I got him hot in the 8th, I knew he was pitching, because I wasn't going to use him, in the future. No, so once I got him hot, same thing with Stanek. Like he was in the game in the 8th before we had on, and once we got those guys hot, I wasn't going to mess around.
Dave?
Carlos, I think the past couple of days you've credited Pete with a couple big walks, and he's being, not chasing now. To see him bust out with a couple home runs, is that just kind of indicative of where he's at? Just
yes.
Being more selective at the plate.
100%. When he's at his best, he's controlling the strike zone because we know the power, and we saw it today to the pull side, to right field, but not chasing, especially winning counts at 3-2. When he's ahead, 3-2, 2-1, 3-1. We saw it yesterday, the past few days, I feel like. And then today, that first inning, for him to, not chase that 3-2 pitch from Rodon, kind of setting the table for Nim, it's like, that's a really good sign right there. Same thing with Lindor, but back to Pete. When he's forcing pitchers to come in the strike zone, he's going to make them pay.
Roger?
Carlos, compared to just a handful of days ago, how do you feel about the way that your guys are playing the game and getting the results?
I feel good, and even when it was hard for us, we know it's not going to be easy. But understanding we have a responsibility, and we gotta go out there and we gotta get the job done. Find a way to get the job done. Understanding that you're gonna go through stretches that is not fun, but you have to find a way to get through it. Dealing with adversity or not gonna make excuses. And that's the message in here, and they know it. Just understanding and believing that there's a lot of good players there, and I'm glad that we're getting some wins here now.
Yeah, you've mentioned a couple of times during the 4 wins the quality of the at-bats. Do you feel like the quality of the at-bats has improved over the last few games?
Yeah, 100%. And when we are controlling the strike zone as a team, we're dangerous. And we've seen it. There's stretches where we go quiet offensively and we don't create much traffic. It's because we're going out of the strike zone, and swinging at their pitches as opposed to forcing them to come in to our strength. So it's good to see the guys continue to fight, continue to make adjustments, and getting results.
Abby?
Is it just as simple as Lindor not chasing? Is that what's been different about his at-bats his last few games?
Same thing. Lindor, Pete, those guys, when they're forcing pitchers to come in the strike zone, they're special. That's what they're elite players. They're gonna be stretches where, it happens. It's baseball, but just figure it out quickly so those stretches doesn't last too long. And they're able to do that. That's why they've been so consistent throughout their careers. Because of their ability to make those adjustments while they're struggling.
Couple more. Daniel?
Carlos, el fanático neoyorquino espera este gran momento para disfrutar la serie de Subway. Pero tú tienes 7-2 relajando para poner a gozar el fanático de los Mets.
Mira, sí, no, siempre son unos juegos intensos, como siempre me lo he visto, dos fanaticadas que se tiran, como que decimos nosotros, ¿no? Pero también entendiendo que ellos son tremendo equipo. Al final del día, pues estamos dando un buen espectáculo. Gracias a Dios estamos consiguiendo los resultados. Los muchachos siguen fajados. Nos queda un juego mañana. Vamos a venir como siempre, pues con la actitud y hacer lo posible, pues, para ganar el juego de pelota.
Carlos, your decision to bat Marte leadoff, was that a hunch? What did you base it on? Which was a great move today. He started everything up today.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good hitter. I like him against lefties. This is a spot in the lineup that he's been there for a long time throughout his career. I like that combination, of Marte Lindor for a lot of different things. This is a guy that can impact the baseball. He puts the ball in play. He can put pressure on the defense by the way he runs the bases. So there's a lot to like, and I'm glad it paid off today.